Let's go. So yeah, huge announcement.
Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun.
We are on Spotify. That is a
Official.
big announcement. So
It's a big win.
super excited about that. Zach, what have you been up to lately?
Nothing compared to you. What have you been doing?
Oh, it's been fun. So
Austin's been on firefighter patrol, so it's been a good one.
I told people I've been on a rampage lately, is what I've been doing. But
It's not a good thing to say you're doing.
I don't know. No, it's been fun. We had I've been more involved with the body shop, so we had have some staff changes over there and getting involved with it, trying to learn that business. So
the question is, what have you learned?
What have I not learned? So, I mean, I think a couple good lessons. You know, this is really for anybody in leadership. It's like, okay, anytime I go into a store that's failing or that's not doing well, where do I start?
Yeah,
and I start with the staff. So, you know, if you're listening to this and you're a new manager going into a new situation, you know, if you've maybe just let somebody go and you're having to step into a department, like that's where you have to start. So I brought this because I wanted to show it for those of you that can see.
And let's show just how thick that clipboard is right now.
It's getting a lot thicker.
There's some serious weight to it right now.
Yeah, I got this clipboard. So what I have is, and I'll try to get these on camera. So these are all my notes from all the one-on-one sessions that I had with every employee. So there's one or two that are still have been avoiding me a little bit, but you know, then my notes on the back. So the whole purpose of that is like your people mean so much to your business.
Yeah.
They mean so much to your business and they're so important. So what I'm trying to find out is, okay, what do they do right now? What do I feel like they might be capable of? And then what concerns do they have? So one of the things I always love asking, and you know this, is like, do you have the equipment you need to do your job?
Mm-hmm.
We got so many things on this list that are just really easy punch list items for me to come back. And then it does one of two things. Like they tell me an issue that they have, and then when I address it, boom, that builds major rapport, right? Because I'm not over there day to day. They don't know me. But if I'm coming in to turn a store around, this is extremely important to start with right away. So you can see all the notes that I have on here and just...
And it's quite extensive.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to love looking at those. So it's like pay plans, CSI, all these other stuff, right?
Fill the vending machine.
No, but it's been cool. So, you know, we're going to have an opportunity there to really, from the ground up, you know, with some of the social media strategy.
Yeah.
You know, and I think there's people over there that are super talented that just haven't been utilized very well. And so, yeah, it's going to be fun. It's a crazy business.
How do you do that from a director standpoint where you're not tied directly to the day in, day out operation success, but to step in and obviously impact it, trust that it's going to be handled and addressed and go the right direction, come back in 3 hours and verify that everything went right?
Yeah, I mean, so for the last week and a half, I mean, I've been in the trenches day to day, you know, and I will be, right? Because this is my baby. This is my project right now, and I feel extremely attached and invested to this. So every day at 9 o'clock, we've been having production meetings, and, you know, I've been giving announcements that here's what I'm working on. Here's what the future looks like for us. Here's where I'm at with hiring. Here's the couple interviews that I had. You know, hey, paint team, see me after this. Hey, you guys are behind a little bit. Why are you behind, right? And so starting to add some accountability, discipline, processes. Got a couple check sheets that we're going through. That's what it's about. So for me, I have to be the leader and set the example in 9 o'clock, everyone's here. 9 o'clock, everyone's here.
How much of a culture shock is that?
Oh, it's huge. But you know what? After a week and a half of doing that, this started last Monday. So was this our 8th meeting together? Like the demeanor of all the employees, it's like, whoa, this matters. Like, it's almost like we matter again.
Yeah,
like,
that's cool.
Because, you know, the shop was not in a good place from CSI either, right? So we started here, and it's kind of like the question that, you know, Mark Rogers would always tell us is sit down and was like, all right, who here in the room thinks they're average?
Yeah,
Nobody
no
raises
hands
their
ever
hand.
go up for
It's
it.
like, well, you guys are average according to the numbers.
Look at the
right?
numbers.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's been fun. It's definitely been a lot of work, but it's fun to learn that side of the business. So it's a lot like mechanical shops, but the repairs take longer and they're more complicated. So you talk about process-oriented service managers being, you know, that's what they have to be. This is that times 3. I mean, it is insane.
So it's not up my alley.
No, it would be terrible.
That was way too quick, Austin.
No, you'd be terrible at it. So, like, for instance, if you have of course, the one sheet I don't have. Wait, no, it's probably on the back of this. You can see I'm like all it. So this is like the quality control checklist. So checked for quality, the number 4. So there's 4 different times where we check for quality. 2 different people have to sign off on it every single time.
Wow.
Just think about how involved that is. Yep. Every car goes through this process. And there's 8 signatures on it.
Now it's going through the process.
Well, now it is, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the part that stuck out to me the most is just listening to you. I think for anybody listening, it is unique because Austin's never run a body shop. So truly getting it with no experience. But I think from your experiences being a service manager, service director, having departments you've changed and everything, the key part was the huddles.
Yeah.
And like you talked about huddling daily. And I know that's a hot topic right now in the Roman organization. We've huddled for years here at Toyota, and it's blessed that we've done it for so long that now we can start reducing the number of times we need to meet.
Yeah.
Because my team is accustomed to it and knowing that. Why are you choosing daily? And besides just, you being there and communicating, what's the biggest takeaway so far?
I'm choosing daily because twice a day would be overwhelming for them, honestly.
Yeah,
like,
makes sense.
Anytime I go into a store and anytime you want to turn around an operation or a store, where does it start? Communication.
Yeah.
That's the reason businesses fail. That's the reason why they succeed. That's the reason why daily huddles are so important. Again, as a leader, as a manager, I work through people. I support my staff. And so I need to figure out where they're at every day. I need to figure out where the bottlenecks are. I need to figure out and just give them a forum even to voice a concern that they might have or voice something that they had, right? So, and then it gets fun. So like we have a list called Happy Homies right now. I did not name it. Somebody else did.
I was going to say,
so
I hope that wasn't you coming.
Your Happy Homies, those are the cars that went home the prior day on schedule. So they're Happy Homies.
Oh, this was your employees when they have good
they
days,
came up with it,
homies.
right? It was great. So our CSR came up with that.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's fun. But anyway, those daily huddles are just so important, right? And shops. I've seen so many shops that just they don't do it and they don't commit to it, right?
Yeah.
So that's been fun.
I think when we had Coach Pat Frazier on the podcast, it was interesting to hear him talk. I know you and I both have worked with him for years, and he talks always about communication. And it's probably one of my most common phrases that, where do you think this problem started from? Well, it was his fault, her fault, their fault, this. Yeah. So it probably started with communication. No, it wasn't communication. Have you spoke to him? No, I've never spoke to him. So it started with communication. And he always says that when things are important, you need to huddle more often.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a kudos point to you of saying, like, hey, this is going to be a huge time commitment for me to say every single morning I'm going to be here to start my day when I have 5, now 6 operations that you're a director over.
Yeah.
But then the other side of it, too, is to see the impact. And I think that's the hardest part is then when you step out of this daily operation, will it continue? And that's
the hard
always
part.
that scary thing to turn over. But the impact that's there, I think for what we've seen personally with us, it brings everybody into a camaraderie point where everyone's equal.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if my title is general manager. Doesn't matter if you're director. We all come to this. And there's no negativity. There's not a conversation here about what our problems are. It's about what do we need to get addressed, where are we at today, and what needs to be the next steps. And that builds teamwork, camaraderie, leadership, and I think the trust that, hey, I heard what you said, not I was told what you said.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing, like management 101, like when I see employees get I don't know what you call it. They get mad at their manager, or they don't like their manager, or they go through a tough time. It's always because, like, hey, I brought the concern to my manager, and he never did anything with it. So I'll even tell them in the meetings, hey, if you bring something to my attention, I will tell you one way or another, am I going to do it or am I not going to do it? And I may tell you, it's a great idea, not right now. I may tell you, we're not going to do that. Or I may say, well, this is great, let's do it, right? Going back to communication. So this is the other big thing when you're going into a problem situation. That there's obviously been lack of communication, miscommunication, poor culture. These are the 3 rules of communication. Be honest.
Is this according to ChatGPT?
No.
Or?
This is kind of mine. I stole it from somewhere. But the 3 rules of communication. Be honest, stay current, and attack the problem, not a person.
Yeah.
So anytime we're going to have really serious conversations that definitely involve people that have to work together, these are the 3 ground rules, right? We're always honest with each other. We always stay current. There's no need to dwell on the past and what happened in the past. And then we're attacking the problem, not the person.
Makes me think back to my relationship with my wife.
I got it from my counselor.
I was going to say.
No, it is. I mean, that's a counseling rule of communication, but I mean, it works in leadership. It works
Without
in business.
And you think about how many times that you want to go at the person because usually it's the person that you blame. But it's probably not the person. It's probably the messenger.
Perfect example. Perfect example. It was like, hey, we need to get rid of this person. Okay, why do we need to get rid of that person? Well, they don't do anything. Okay, do they not do anything because they aren't given the opportunity to do something?
Yeah.
Or they just don't care? And that's the same thing. Like, instead of attacking the person, let's attack the problem. The problem is maybe they're bored because they don't have anything to do because nobody said, hey, try this, or hey, we're going to get you training to do this, or hey, I bet you could help us with our social media posting. Like give them the opportunity to succeed.
That's the part we talk about a lot. It's ironic that that's kind of where you're at because we're in a stage right now where I'm trying to, and I think this is the car dealerships, always sticking point. What do you do with your finance team? Like, they produce numbers. Yeah, they sit at their desk and they get all the deals tight and they send out funding and CITs and money due collection and they protect the dealership. But what do they do the other 5 hours of the day? Besides, look for shoes, decide what's for lunch, complain what deal's coming in, and then also ask me if they can go home early because we're not busy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, those are all the sarcastic things. And then my team does so many more things, but that's if you said, what does a finance guy do? That would be the joke in the auto industry. But one of the things we talked about is that career has to be a selfish career because you are there to produce your income. It's not the team's income. It's not the sales manager. But one of the things we said is like, hey, finance guys, you know that the stigma is you're a selfish individual in a selfish career. How can you help hold other people accountable? How can you be a manager? Because that's in your title.
Yeah, it's manager in their title, but they're never really directly responsible for anybody.
And that's managing paperwork is their excuse, right? So, like, that's where we sat down and we said, listen, at the end of the day, everybody has a problem with you, and the selfish term comes out because you're worried about your income. How about you flip it on its head and worry about someone else's? They said, we don't have the time to coach someone how to make more income and do these things and this. And I said, one of the things that I've learned in my career in leadership is it's not so much about you having to be a good trainer as much as can you just communicate it for them? And that's what's reminding me about this point to you is like, they went downstairs and they said, hey, we're going to own the sales team's aftermarket penetration. And we're going to post every day on a whiteboard how many deals you've sold and how many aftermarket products you've sold.
Yeah.
And literally instantly this month, aftermarket's up 30% because all they've done this month is report every single day. So instead of us posting weekly saying, hey, here's what everyone's doing, and somebody going, oh, I sold 4 cars and didn't sell any aftermarket. Oh, I sold a car and didn't sell any aftermarket. Sell a car the next day. I sold another car and no aftermarket. So it's shocking to hear them already, 1 month into, I can't manage anything, go, wow, look at the impact we're having because we're just communicating.
Yeah, we had, so a couple of the reps I reach out to too, like, our bigger insurance companies, everything's let them know. And I just had a great meeting with one of them this morning, and she goes, okay, so next time we'll meet like next month. I go, whoa, no. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, next week? I'm not just going to let a month go by and not talk to you. Like, I'm learning here. I got
especially when there's so many corrective things you're making.
Yeah, it's like, man, I need the accountability. Just, hey, I'm going to meet with her again next week, so I need to make sure the things that I said, I need to actually do them and implement them. So, all right, one thing I want to talk about.
How do you transition that to a manager, though?
The manager position is such a crucial hire, right? And so I think that you have to look internally and you have to look externally, with any role. But you have to take your time. There's a couple people in town who really want that role, right? And they will say things like, I have 2 technicians ready to jump ship right now. You know what? I don't care because, like, I'm trying to hire the best person for that manager role regardless of whatever else. Who says I even want those 2 technicians?
Yeah.
They could be retreads, recycles. Maybe they have terrible attitudes and they're going to be bad for the culture. Like, I want to get it down to the team that I want to have, that has the culture that I want to have, and then we're slowly going to be adding on. We're going to have that manager is going to do a first interview with me. They're going to come back if I invite them, and they're going to do a manager with the team or an interview with the team because it's kind of like, hey, I said yes to him.
Yeah.
Now the team needs to say yes to him because that's going to be their leader, right? If I just go behind a curtain and say, hey, here's your new manager, what does that do for them?
Yeah, it'd be the same thing you struggled with in stepping in the role, probably.
Yeah, 100%.
Who's this guy? Why is he taking over? He's got no experience.
Yeah.
Hopefully this person has experience.
Well, we'll see. I don't have anybody yet. That's the thing. I don't have anybody yet, right? And it's scary. It's scary to go without it, but, I can handle it. So I want to talk about something because I'm fired up about pay plans.
Okay, well, good. I didn't know where that was going.
In the one-on-one meetings, what do you think comes up more often than not?
I haven't been paid what I deserve to be paid for quite a while.
I haven't gotten a pay increase. I've gotten an offer somewhere else. It's like a substitute teacher mentality.
Somebody else offered me something. I don't want to go, but it's a lot better than this.
Yeah. So obviously pay plans drive behavior.
Yeah.
Right? And so part of it is, hey, I got to get to know my people. I got to get to know my margins. And then I got to figure out what part of the pay plans work and what don't. So if I see a bunch of just blah pay plans that have like no incentive on CSI.
Yeah.
I got to put that in there. So now I got to try to create margin in that too, right? So now you're looking at more of the financial operation of the business. So like, it's a lot easier for me to pay a technician more if I can go out and earn more. Yeah. So how do you earn more? Better training of your staff. In this case would be estimators or advisors. Are they working the insurance programs well? Are they doing, the little 0.2s and 0.3s that they can get on every ticket for rescans and, all these different items that they can put on there? Are they maximizing that? Are they taking advantage of it? And then for us, like parts is a great example. So we do a lot with the OEM dealers. Well, hey, could I make more margin somewhere else? Something that I sublet out, could I do that in-house and make more margin, right? Because every 1 or 2% means that that's another dollar that obviously the company gets, but that I could use to incentivize behavior that I want through pay plans. There's too many times I think that businesses, like when you go in here and it's the reason that's been given why they haven't been raised, because that's why I was asked, well, why not?
Yeah.
Well, because, you know, the business is going down, or like we just don't have money in the budget for that, or whatever. Like that's our job as operators to go find that money, right? That we're then going to pass on a little bit to employees. So that's been a fun one.
So how do you do that in 8 days of operation?
Well, I found. Should I show my pricing sheet?
Which page is it? Which page of the 40 do you have here?
No, I mean I think it's just again like diving into the business operations, just figuring out okay, there's 2 different ways to make more profit. I'm going to lower my cost, or I'm going to increase my sale amount. Right? That's the only 2 ways to do it. Unless if somebody has another way, please drop in the comments.
Yeah, we'll take any advice when it comes to that.
Yeah, so I'm going to look at cutting costs. You know, where I can cut costs, whether it's through parts acquisition or again these little things that add up, and then sale price. Hey, I'm going to make sure my door rates are competitive with what they are. Reimbursement rates are competitive with the market. You know, go from there, and then even down to this came up. What kind of towels we use to detail cars? Do we rent those? Do we own those? Do we buy them and throw them away? I mean, that's a significant expense that people don't think about. And you don't think about it.
That's one of the very first thing that I'll always tell the story when I became a GM is, again, just like you. You start in a spot, give me all the notes, give me all the paperwork. Yeah. You start going through it and you look at expense and you're looking at it and you're like, oh, shop supplies. Yeah. That's a huge number. And then you go and you talk to the person, you're like, who approves how many screws we buy, how many nuts, how many bolts, how many towels? And they're like, yeah, the guy just comes and refills it. He just stocks it in. And you're like, I'm going to go talk to that guy. And then you walk up to him and you're like, this is awful. This is so many little things. But when you start doing the math on it, you know, if you're paying 50 cents more for something and it's over the term of, you know, towels, I could only imagine what the body shop goes through in towels in a month, a quarter, a year. You're talking, you know, thousands of dollars that could be something that you could offset by just changing a vendor.
Well, and it could be like that's money then that I could spend on marketing, right? And I could, so there's so many different ways you can do it, but that's where, you know, we're really stewards of the business and you have to look at it from all sides. So
it's like making the annual call to your local cable company. I think I'm going to drop my subscription. Oh, Mr. Kinch, please, we'll drop $10 if you stay. Make it 15 and I'll do it.
XM Radio. I mean,
serious?
I shouldn't say this, but we're not on XM Radio, are we, Logan?
No, we're not.
Every year at Christmas, I call them and say I'm going to drop, and I get my $6 rate a month honored, you know, instead of going to $25. So that's a little.
I would have figured you just came by the dealership, had us rescan it for you for the next month, so it's free.
A little trick for that one, but yeah. So no, the body shop thing's been fun. It's been a really fun project. So definitely open for advice and conversations with anybody. You know, I think I put something out on LinkedIn and was like, hey, I need a super user of CCC1, which is one of the biggest body shop softwares ever. So I've gotten a couple people just to know, like, how do you really use it? What reports do you really look at? What do we need to have set up? Yeah, it's fun being thrown in it with no experience and
for sure.
Not and I think really that's any knowledge.
I think that's the purpose of these dealer insiders that we're trying to do is really get exposure for us. Because I mean, I'm going to be transparent in it. I've been 10 years with the Rohrman organization. I've been a general manager for 6. And the only thing I know is what I was taught by the Rohrmans or what I went and found.
Yeah.
And it's been a blessing that they've given the resources and the time and the commitment to go do that. But also at the same time, I'm sure there's so much more info out there. Because if a great operator walked into my store that I think's a great store, I'm sure within 10 minutes they'd go, why do you do this? Why do you do that? Hey, have you thought about this? Hey, did you know you could? And that would be all great advice. So these dealer insiders are for us moving the automotive movement forward and saying, hey, how can we help each other all grow? So if you guys do have comments, if you do have opinions, if you do have ideas, let us know. Find us on LinkedIn. That's where kind of Austin and I are living big time in the social world. You can always hit us up. Logan, our producer's always going to be behind the screen, so he'll come running to us.
We got him on a podcast, though, didn't you?
Yeah, and that's the breaking news.
And I couldn't show up because I...
We have a behind-the-scenes podcast coming with executive producers that step around the camera, so... We're excited to see that one go live. It should be live this week. So anything else you got for the world of automotive?
No, I mean, here's what I'll say. Like what I've learned in my experiences, although I may not know 100% about the body collision world, like I've realized that the skills that I've learned from management and around communication and knowing people and, you know, just simple execution and follow up, I think that translates to any business, right? So if you're in the automotive business and you're looking to get out, or if you're out of the automotive business looking in, like, there are a lot of skills. And again, which is another reason why we like to hire people that don't necessarily have automotive experience, you know, because if you're really good at something and managing people, that translates no matter what industry you're in. So,
yeah, I think the point of that, kudos to the way you said it too, because I thought it was perfect in the sense of, you know, if you don't know what the opportunity you're being asked to go into as a promotion, I go back to you stepping foot from the finance office to the service department.
That was wild.
Are you willing to just go and listen? And again, we talk about it always. There's people and there's processes, and processes are completely useless without the right people.
Yeah.
And kudos to what you've explored in 8 days of going, hey, these people that were broke, that weren't able to do the job, that need to be replaced because it's a bad culture. It may have been more of the individual leading it had a bad process.
Yeah.
And the people aren't the problem at all. So
for sure.
What a cool story. I'm excited to keep up on this.
We'll keep updates. Maybe
thank God I'm not over the body shop.
Oh, it's great. We love it. All right, till next time.
See ya.